Thank you, Mr Speaker. Well, this government lurches from one outrage to another. Yesterday, the Chancellor shredded her promises and dropped a £26 billion tax bomb on working Britain. Meanwhile, we learnt that the Justice Secretary is plotting to discard centuries of jury trials without so much of a by your leave. And where is the Justice Secretary to answer for this? Do we need to send out a search party to Saville Row in case he's gone suit shopping again this morning? Or perhaps he couldn't face up to the embarrassment that he is now destroying the very principles he once championed. Jury trials are fundamental to the justice system. They're fundamental to our democracy, and we must protect them. Not my words. Those are the Justice Secretary himself. And this time, he was right. There is wisdom in 12 ordinary citizens pooling their collective experiences of the world. But now he's in government. He's doing the complete opposite. He blames the court backlog. But if the courtrooms standing empty this year were used, the backlog would be down by 5,000 to 10,000 cases. He pleads poverty on law and order. But yesterday, the Chancellor came here and found £16 billion more to spend on benefits. The truth is the Labour Party just don't think ordinary people are up to it. They don't trust them with these decisions. Give away the Chagos Islands, shackle us to the ECHR, scrap jury trials, all because lawyers know best. And when the Justice Secretary is summoned here to the People's House, what does he do? He cowers. He cowers away. Well, the people who make up juries, the British people, they won't wear it anymore. So I've one simple question for the minister he sent in his stay. Will she protect what is fundamental to our democracy, or will she stand by as the Justice Secretary casually casts aside centuries of English liberty?
Minister.
How extraordinary, Mr Speaker. He claims to care about the rule of law. He claims to care about ancient legal traditions. Mr Speaker, this is the same Shadow Justice Secretary that denigrates our independent judges, that denigrates our legal community standing up for rights. I've already said, and I'll say it again, the right to a jury trial for our most serious cases will remain a fundamental part of our British legal tradition. But since he is so fond of quoting our ancient principles, quoting Magna Carta, let me remind him of what is our constitutional right. What Magna Carta says is, to no one will we delay right or justice. The right to a swift and prompt trial is a fundamental ingredient of fairness. And when you have the crisis that we inherited from the party opposite, a backlog now of some 80,000 cases, behind each and every one of those cases, an actual victim, somebody accused of a crime, we are denying in the current system a fair trial because as victims, as witnesses, pull out of the process, as is increasingly happening, that is denying fairness. Today, a victim of rape, and I say this with the pin that I'm wearing as we stand in the 16 days of activism against violence against women and girls. A woman reporting a rape today in London to be told that her trial may not come on till 2029 to 2030. That is not justice at all. That is a consequence of allowing the Crown Court backlog to spiral out of control and doing nothing, offering not a single answer. That is not upholding the right, the fundamental British constitutional right to a fair trial. It is exactly the opposite. And I certainly, for one, as part of this government, am not prepared to sit idly by. It's why we've gripped the crisis, making record investment in sitting days, extending magistrates' court sentencing powers, investment in legal aid, and, of course, asking one of our finest jurists, Brian Levison, to conduct an independent review to provide us with a blueprint for how we get out of this mess. The party opposite, they like to call themselves the party of tradition, the party of law and order, and yet they presided over a justice system in which the British public can no longer have confidence. I'm afraid that I'm not prepared to let victims down. This Labour government is finally putting victims first. It's why we are going to consider very carefully Sir Brian's recommendations. It's why we will undertake to implement his blueprint, which takes as its fundamental premise this, that the system is broken. There is no one in this House, there is no one in the community that represents victims, there is no one in the legal community, no judge, no one operating and working hard in the system to keep it going who thinks that the system isn't broken. We have to fix it. And what Sir Brian Leveson tells us is that investment alone will not fix it. We need investment coupled with structural reform and modernisation. That is exactly the blueprint that this government will bring forward. Because, as I said, we believe in the right to a fair trial. We believe in British justice. And unlike the party opposite, we will deliver swifter justice for victims.
Robert Jenrick.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To ask the Secretary of State for Justice if he will make a statement on the government's reported plans to further restrict the right to trial by jury in almost all cases.
Minister.
Mr Speaker, this government inherited an emergency in our criminal courts, with record and rising caseloads, leaving victims behind each and every one of those cases facing agonising delays, waiting to see justice done, while some defendants hope their accusers simply give up on justice. That is why the government asked Sir Brian Leveson, a preeminent jurist and one of our most experienced judges, to undertake an independent review, a once-in-a-generation review of our criminal courts. We have been carefully considering his recommendations and agree that a crisis of this scale requires bold action to get the system moving and to deliver swifter justice for victims. No final decisions have been made on exactly how to take forward the blueprint that Sir Brian and his expert panel has set down, and I suggest that the House waits for that response. But let me be clear, jury trials will always be a cornerstone of British justice. This government will do whatever it takes to protect the fundamental right to a fair trial. The great British justice system, with all of its traditions, would never let victims wait, in some cases, 4 years for justice. There is, indeed, Mr Speaker, a clash of ideas between this side of the House and the opposition. We are on the side of modernisation, of defending our values, and of swifter justice for victims, whilst they're prepared to watch the system rot, not offering any answers. The old adage rings true that in the current crisis, justice delayed is justice denied. The system was simply not designed for a scenario where there are tens of thousands of victims facing agonising delays for justice. The vast majority of cases in our courts are already heard without juries. Around 90% of all criminal cases are dealt with robustly, fairly, by magistrates with no jury. The country deserves meaningful reforms which back victims, back modernisation and back fairness over those gaming the system, to speed up the courts and get victims the swifter justice that they deserve, resolving the court backlog and ensuring fair justice. As I've said, we intend to respond to the first part of Sir Brian's review very soon, so the House, I'm afraid, will have to wait a little longer for that response.